Hi, I'm Gage Peterson, and I want to talk about my new camera and everyone else's new camera that you've already seen, the A7R3, and the things that I've loved about it so far, which are all pretty obvious. And something weird that I haven't seen anyone mention yet, probably because anyone who has this has enough money to fix the problem that I've encountered. I am by no means Manny Ortiz or that one camera guy. I'm not a professional photographer as a full-time job, and I can't necessarily justify buying the A7R3. I was so excited when it came out, and I was just going on and on and on about it, and my girlfriend finally said, you should just order it. So I did, because I'm not about to pass up that opportunity. Anyways, I pressed record on the audio, right? Yeah. Okay, where was I going with this? Yes, this is from a normal person's standpoint. It's already paid for itself, sort of. I mean, I've gotten money because of this camera, but I wouldn't have been able to do the shoots that I've done without this camera, so that's really, really cool. First of all, I bought the camera, and that week I shot a family friend's daughter's ice skating show, a Christmas show. I'll consider that a sports shoot. I shot, specifically, there were 3 kids that I had to focus on. And then I also just kind of popped off a whole bunch of shots while I was there because I wanted to test the autofocus, and I was also using the 70-200 f4, the G lens. This camera with a G lens and up, or even just Sony native E-mount lenses, its autofocus is insane. I mean, all of the reviews that you've probably seen of it saying the autofocus is amazing, they're 100% true. It's really quite astonishing what it's capable of. Even with my 50mm macro, it's still really trustworthy. I mean, it's awesome. I like it. I have maybe 5 shots that were out of focus out of the 300 that I took, which is awesome. It handled the low light really well. I think I shot at 3200 to 6400 ISO for that particular occasion, just so that I could get my shutter speed really high. I think I was shooting at like 1/600th or even 800 at some points of it. The point is, it works really awesome, and having the full frame sensor and having that low light capability is the reason why I bought this camera. I am a huge fan of landscapes. I haven't really pushed its landscape potential yet, but I plan to as soon as I'm willing to push myself and go out into the cold weather of Utah in winter. But it will happen nonetheless. Okay, my next shoot was a birthday party, not your typical birthday party. I went to the Bellagio, and the people who hired me paid for my room at the Bellagio, and they rented out a club in the Bellagio called the Hyde, and I went in and I shot in this club. I shot portraits as everyone walked in, prom style, just stopped them at the door and said, let me take your photo. Had a flash on set. I shot with my 50mm and had a bunch of great shots, and then I rented the 70-200 2.8 for that occasion because I knew I needed something a little bit more open and would let a little more light in. And that lens is amazing. That's on my to buy lens list, and oh man, that lens. It's heavy, it's big, and I know people transfer over to the Sony system for small light lenses, but there's something amazing about holding a lens that is just extremely heavy and capable. Oh, it's well built, beautiful images. I'll show you a picture here in a second. So anyways, for that I was shooting at 8000 to 12,000 ISO. If I would have shot at 12,000 with my A6500, I wouldn't have even shown my client those photos. I wouldn't have put them on there because I just would not have done that. It seems to hold its own at about 12,000. Anything above that, it starts to get a little iffy. I mean, 12,000 is its high point in my opinion. There has been one minor setback that I have encountered while shooting with my A7R3 so far. When I bought my A6500 and switched over from Canon, I bought the photo deox adapter to adapt some of the lenses I still had, like the 24 to 105 and the 50mm 1.4 USM. So here it is. As you can see, it adapts lenses. It is a smart autofocus adapter. So it autofocuses, it changes the f-stops, all that good stuff. On my A7R3, it doesn't seem to work. I threw it on with my 85mm Rokinon, and because that lens is fully manual, has no electrical connections whatsoever, it seemed to work perfectly fine. The camera doesn't really recognize that there's a lens on there, but if you turn on the release shutter without a lens on, it still works. That being said, with a lens that has electrical connections, the camera won't even let me press the shutter button. I can press it down as far as I want and nothing happens. And I found a little fix for it, which is just slightly turning the lens off of its base. And that means that the lens could potentially turn all the way over and slip and fall off. I mean, it still has a tight connection, but you don't want to just like, especially if you're using like a 70-200, you don't want to risk dropping it. I brought this lens on the Vegas trip because it's a 1.4 and I could use that low light capability. And I was kind of disappointed to find out that it didn't stand a chance at working. So I'm selling this lens now. If any of you have a photo deox and you're planning on moving up, I bet the A9 also has the same issue, and also any other of their new cameras that might be coming out. While I was in Vegas, I walked around the strip and I took a whole bunch of photos. I also filmed a lot. I think I pressed the record button maybe like 20 times. I was stupid and I formatted the card before I pulled the videos over. I had some good video on there. I'm really sad about it. The last thing I want to talk about is the dynamic range. The dynamic range is impeccable. I went out and shot some pictures of buildings, and I'll go ahead and show you those right now. So those are cool. There's one in particular I want to talk about, and it's this guy right here. This one, as you can see, the sky is blown out. You can't see any of the clouds. It's not very blue. Drag down the exposure and you can see all of that come back. Having 15 stops of dynamic range is amazing, and it's probably the most useful feature other than cropping. Being able to crop down on a 42 megapixel image and get an 18 or a 20 megapixel image, or even smaller than that, that's extremely usable and still something that you can sell. It's really, really, really handy, especially, I mean, I don't know how many times I've shot a photo and just been like, man, I should have just come in a little closer. I mean, there's even more times where I said I should have pulled back a little bit, but that just happens a lot anyways. Yeah, crop vector, dynamic range, low light capabilities, massive battery. I think this battery's at 40% and I won't change it for another week. Having the dual memory card slots is also pretty cool. Oh, before either one of us leaves, I want to thank my girlfriend. I finally got a haircut, or she should thank me for that. She got me this really cool director's chair that you can't really see. It's beautiful. I've wanted one since I was a kid and she had no idea and just bought it on a whim. Seriously, as soon as I learned about them when I was a kid, I had to have one. And now that I'm 21 years old, I have one and it's glorious. She also bought me a cool whiskey decanter and some other things. I had a good Christmas. How about you? Did you have a good Christmas? I hope you had a good Christmas. I think that's it for today. I'll go ahead and end with just a little montage like I always do. Have a good day. Go out and pull that shutter button. I was gonna say trigger, and that's not a thing. Shoot more. Take pictures when you don't want to take pictures. Take pictures when you think you shouldn't. Take pictures when you think that it's just not possible, but I'm telling you, it really is possible. I shoot way too much around my house. I need to get out and go shoot. How about you guys? Do you want to come shoot with me? That was weird. How can I end this naturally?